The first Republican debate is tomorrow, Wednesday. And as I predicted earlier, Trump is not going to show up, which means the primary two individuals who are going to be going at each other's throats are going to be Vivek Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis. So the goal of this video is to, in my opinion, give you what DeSantis should be doing to completely decimate Vivek Ramaswamy. Here's why he needs to do that. This debate is a good opportunity to kill Vivek Ramaswamy's momentum. And as I've talked about in past videos, political momentum is all that matters. So it's not about where someone is today, it's where they're going to be. And currently, Vivek has a good deal of momentum. He's continuously viewed favorably. Americans seem to like a lot of his talking points. He's very well spoken, he's memeable, but he's also kind of cringy in some other ways. So what I've done is I've developed some hit piece type of talking points that if I were the DeSantis campaign, these are the talking points that I would call out on the stage tomorrow and make sure that the audience gets across in order to destroy Vivek. Talking point number one: Vivek, you are a George Soros funded candidate. So Vivek did take money from the Soros Foundation to get into Yale as a scholarship. It was either that or a relative of George Soros. George Soros is obviously toxic in name, brand, and identity to any conservative movement. So all DeSantis has to do, whether it's factually true or not, is call out Vivek Ramaswamy for accepting Soros money. And that's it. Boom, done. Further, DeSantis can say, Vivek, you've accepted Soros money, whereas me as a governor, I've actually denounced and unseated two Soros-backed district attorneys, which he has done. He just unseated one in Orlando less than 2 weeks ago here in the state of Florida. And then earlier, I think it was about last year, beginning of this year, he actually kicked the guy out of Tampa who was also Soros funded. So that raises DeSantis' level because he says, I'm Soros's most hated guy because I've kicked out two of his attorneys. And Soros is actually paying you money. Soros is the only reason you got into Yale. So that's step number one. Mention George Soros, link George Soros with Vivek Ramaswamy. If you can brand Ramaswamy as the Soros favorite and the Soros kind of fake in the Republican primary, that's a good win and that's a good talking point. Talking point number two: Vivek, you're a rich millionaire. You can't relate to lower class or middle class voters at all. There's a pretty basic talking point, and Vivek will probably counter by saying so was Trump. But Vivek isn't like Trump. Trump is kind of, low class in his speech. Vivek is not. Vivek has a very kind of aristocratic, almost talks like a CIA agent. He definitely talks like a politician. He says all the right things. Trump is very politically incorrect just because the way he talks. So pointing to the fact that Vivek is a millionaire who also went to Yale will make him look like an elitist. And that's what DeSantis should do. He should target Vivek as an elitist who is very rich and went to an elitist school and so has an elitist viewpoint and can't relate to your average American. That would be hit number two. Hit number three, which you have to do a little bit of digging to find this out. Vivek is pro a death tax, or what's otherwise called an inheritance tax. What that means is Vivek believes if your parents die, over 50% of that wealth should be taxed and not passed on to your children. Now, think about this. DeSantis is very pro parents. Everything that he's done with his school choice bills, it's always been the parental bill of rights. The whole goal of a parental bill of rights and what he's done in Florida as far as education, at least under his talking points, is so parents can oversee the well-being and the lives of their children. Vivek, on the other hand, is trying to take away all the hard earned income that you've made to benefit your children in their future and give it to the government. Who wants that? So, just that one talking point, DeSantis can paint Vivek as anti parent, anti parental choice, and anti future for children. All those are maybe exaggerations, but it doesn't matter. On the debate stage, that's exactly what DeSantis should be saying. So, Vivek, if you are for a death or an inheritance tax, you're anti children. You're anti promoting American values because the whole goal of the American dream is for your parents to work hard so that they can give their children a better life. And you're pro big government because who's the tax going to go to? It's going to go to the government. So if you're anti-corruption and anti-waste, well, that simply just doesn't make sense. So that's another good talking point for DeSantis to stump Vivek. Another, I think, good talking point, which is kind of more cultural, would be Vivek's just not a serious candidate. He was rapping Eminem at the Iowa State Fair, much to the awkwardness of the governor of Iowa and the crowd. He's constantly made a few guffaws on Twitter, which kind of make him seem immature. And so DeSantis can kind of paint Vivek as this immature, out of touch person. He has zero leadership skills. He's never governed a state. He's never been in Congress. So you can relate his inexperience to his Eminem rapping on stage as well. Vivek, you rapped Eminem at a political event, which Eminem's very liberal. So why you were rapping a liberal artist at a very conservative Iowa fair, it's kind of awkward. Vivek, you've also never held any political office. So I just think you're a little inexperienced to be on this stage and be having these conversations. That is a very good talking point. And whenever you make someone look ridiculous and kind of point to their inexperience, that's a very good tactic because it delegitimizes anything else that they're going to say. Number 5, Vivek is a big flip-flopper. Vivek has flip-flopped on a lot of things. He's flip-flopped on his stances on Trump and January 6th. Vivek has flopped on his stance on pardoning Hunter Biden. Vivek flip-flops on a lot of things. Now, to Vivek's credit, he's very nuanced, and I actually understand some of his perspective on a lot of the things he quote-unquote flip-flops on, but this is the debate stage. Those things don't matter. Talking points matter. So if I was DeSantis, I would point to the fact that Vivek, even though he claims to be an outsider, flip-flops all the time like your typical politician. He flip-flops on issues. He flip-flopped on China and Taiwan. He said China would not invade Taiwan if we armed every Taiwanese with a gun. But then very soon after, he said, actually, though, as long as our microchip processing plants are safe, China can do what they want with Taiwan. Those are two kind of seemingly conflicting geopolitical stances. That's another great talking point. Another talking point would be to turn that into would be talking point 6, that Vivek simply isn't serious enough on China by saying, oh, China can go in and do what they want with Taiwan as long as we have our semiconductors. DeSantis could say, semiconductors or not, we support Taiwan. We don't support the Communist Party. And then DeSantis can obviously pivot and say, I don't support the CCP so much so that we've banned the CCP from buying agricultural land here in Florida. If you're anti-CCP, I'm your guy. Vivek obviously is not. And so I think that would be another good talking point. Once again, these are all kind of the main issues that are going to be on American minds. I think if I had to pick one other thing to attack Vivek with, it would be that he's simply just a Trump lackey. And that if he's trying to just be a Trump 2.0, that they should just vote for the real guy. So I would say, Vivek, why are you even on stage? You agree with everything Trump's doing, but you have none of the political experience. So what are you doing here? Why are you running against Trump, but then saying all the same talking points? And I think that's kind of good because that calls into question about what is he actually doing? Is this just a giant publicity stunt? Some of the more minor talking points that, if pivoted correctly, I think could be very well done is Vivek comes from a pharmaceutical company. Start tying Vivek's pharmaceutical company to COVID and say Vivek is already in the arms of Big Pharma, and Big Pharma wanted you to be locked down. And in Florida, we didn't let that happen. And no matter what Vivek says, he can't really counter that because Vivek could be anti-lockdown, but DeSantis could just simply say, yes, but you've never been a governor. Once again, going back to Vivek's lack of experience and lack of authority. Vivek, you've never been governor, so even though you're anti-lockdown, we don't know because you've never been in an elected position. I have, and I've kept us from locking down. So it's DeSantis's ball game. I think he could very easily trounce Vivek in a variety of ways, as long as he kind of sticks to his same talking points. My hope is that he's aggressive. If DeSantis isn't aggressive, I think he's going to be walked all over. So hopefully, some of his more tickish mannerisms don't kick in, and he doesn't have any guffaws. And get it that he has to be careful. And the big fine line he has to play is denouncing Vivek and killing his momentum while also not denouncing Trump supporters as a whole. So we'll see how DeSantis does. I think he's going to perform very well tomorrow, but he is going to be the top target for both Vivek and all the other useless people like Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, who's just a giant potato. So we'll see how he does. So we'll be live streaming the debate tomorrow, me and my good friend Joshua Jake. So I hope you guys can tune in and watch that.